be tweeting our little hearts out from Cleveland to Chicago and maybe back again over the next week as the Ravens are on bye. We've been going around the NFL. We're talking about some NFL issues and around the league and Pittsburgh on their bye. But at heart, I'm a puckhead, and I snuck off to the Caps game on Saturday night with my wife. We met at a hockey game 14 years ago now in Manchester, New Hampshire. The Rangers were taking on the Caps. The Caps took it on the chin. But this guy he knows it's a long season in the National Hockey League. He is a senior writer at NHL.com, based up in New York, where they've been kicking our ass at football lately. He is Dan Rosen, D. Rosen NHL, out on Twitter. I know you're probably not a Jets guy because you're a Giants guy, but I've had two very, very hideous. The only thing that didn't happen the last 2 weeks was a seagull pooping on me on the way back to my car after we've lost in that parking lot.
Well, I don't think they want to go back there anytime soon, the Ravens, right? I mean, that's not a good place to be for them right now.
Not unless Springsteen's playing, Dan. You know what I mean? When Springsteen's there, it's a good spot. Other than that, it's a hellhole for me and Peyton Manning,
Hey, man, as a Giants fan, I'm proud of that hellhole right now. We're back over 500. We're going into a bye week. Got 2 wins. They weren't pretty, but they got the wins. So let's go with it. Come on.
Yeah, not pretty is Listen, I saw the Caps play on Saturday night, and look, I'm not an alarmist at all. I mean, it's early in the season for all of these teams, and they're trying to figure out lines, and they're trying to figure out health and where they are. But I think for every team, and the Caps haven't gotten off to a bad start, but last year's a long, long time ago, right? I mean, for all of these franchises, for all the organizations, how you start really does add up. I mean, the Capitals went into some level of coast mode last year because they were so far ahead and they played so well at this time last year that anything measured to that, winning a couple games every week isn't good enough.
No, and let's also remember right now it's only 5 games. They're 3-1-1. They're going out west to play Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver. I mean, these aren't the most defensively responsible teams. I know the offense needs a jump start. It scored 13 goals in 5 games. Okay, not terrible. It's not great, but it's a little shade over 2.5 a game. They got some wins. They got some points. They're right in the thick of it. They need to get going offensively. They're changing up a little bit of their top line with Burakovsky going there and Oshie dropping down to play with Johansson and Backstrom and moving things all around. Like they're okay. They're fine. They're not what they were last year, at least not yet.
But they don't need to be, right? I mean,
they don't need to be. They don't.
And the Warriors are going to find that out in the NBA too, right? I mean, there is this sort of place where you saw what the Cavaliers did last year, sort of saved some ground and made their way. And you know what the Penguins did last year, and San Jose for that matter. This time of the year, you want to be playing hard and playing well, but you really want to stay healthy and get to the other side every night.
Yeah, they don't have to be great right now. They don't. They have to be okay. They have to stay in the mix. You don't want to be in a position where you're dropping down, you're 1-5, or things like that, and you're chasing points, because if you do it now, you fall behind now, you're chasing points the rest of the way. Points, as you well know, are hard to make up in the NHL. They're hard to make up. When you teams when you hit the Thanksgiving marker, teams are in the playoffs. A lot of times they make the playoffs, those teams that are in the playoffs, because of how difficult points are to make up in the standings. So they're fine. They're in a good position. They need to get it going offensively. We know that, but they don't have to be what they were last year. What they were last year clearly didn't work. So maybe it'd be something a little different this year.
I don't think we could talk about the teams that have gotten off to a nice start. You talk about Edmonton and certainly Montreal and even the Rangers and winning in Washington the other night. But this is really a time to talk about young players, right? And in a place like Toronto where hockey matters more than anything, well, at least since the Blue Jays got eliminated, having this rose come from the desert to Toronto, this is one of the wilder stories since maybe the Jamaican bobsled team or Eddie the Eagle or something, right? It really is an unlikely story.
It is an unlikely story, but it's a success story of a market too. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Austin Matthews. We don't know about Austin Matthews if there's no Arizona Coyotes. That's the team he grew up watching. They were the team, his motivation. Now, he's the first out of that market, and he's the best. Obviously, maybe the best of all time out of that market, but it's a success story of the market, and we're seeing it in Florida too. Shane Gostisbehere out of Florida, Jacob Chikrin, who ironically plays for Arizona. He's a rookie, 18 years old. He's out of Florida. So we're starting to see more and more and more of these guys come out of these markets that 20 years ago we never even have guessed was a possibility that they could come out of that market. But for Austin Matthews to come out of Arizona, clearly not the hotbed of hockey, but they like their Coyotes, but not the hotbed of hockey. We can agree on that. To then go to Toronto, the hotbed of hockey, it's pretty remarkable. And it's not like he ended up in a different market that's not as significant, should we say, as Toronto. He ended up in arguably the most significant market in the National Hockey League, in hockey in general. And it's a wild story. I like your analogy to the Jamaican bobsled team. I like that. And he's a tremendous player, and he proved it on opening night.
Well, and for Toronto, look, man, I'm a Caps fan. I'm a Trotz guy. I have a closet full of Nashville Predator stuff because Trotz and I have been friends for that long, and I've been a Caps fan my whole life. Actually, I got to get my Courage hat out and start wearing that. I'm still wearing my Oriole hat. It's very sad on the backside of the Bo Buck Showalter thing, Dan. I know you're aware of that. But, if I weren't a Caps fan and I were just adopting a team, I would adopt the Maple Leafs. I almost want to be a Maple Leafs fan just because, at some point, much like what we're seeing with the Cubs and to some degree the Indians for sure, the Maple Leafs are that. They are the Cubs of hockey, and it would be fun to see them ride it a little bit and see some activity there. I think it would rise all boats around the league and certainly around the country, much the way the Blue Jays sort of illuminated Canada with their run the last 2 years.
Well, it's funny. I never even considered the idea that the Maple Leafs are the Cubs just because 1967 versus 1908. But in terms of, history and what the team means and, how popular that team is, to not have won for that long period of time, I certainly get the analogy. I get what you're saying. I think it would be great. If Toronto was a relevant hockey market, it's better for hockey. It's better for the National Hockey League. It's better for the game in general when Toronto is a relevant market with a relevant team. It's much different. Same with Montreal. When Montreal's a relevant market, New York, Boston, Chicago, all of them. When they're relevant markets, it's better for the league than when it's not. That being said, it's a long way to go.
I know.
It's a long way. They've got Matthews.
There's only one way to go, man. They were at the bottom, bro. They
have to get there. But I think there's this feeling now that people are seeing the future of the Maple Leafs, and they're starting to get like, oh, look, they got Austin Matthews. They have their number one center for the future. Yeah, they do. Oh, they got Mitch Marner. He's really good. And William Nylander, he's really good. Yeah, but these guys come into the league, and they're skilled. They're all about skill. That's what the new player is in the NHL right now when he comes into the league. He's all about skill. I recently had this conversation with Shane Doan of the Arizona Coyotes. They come in, they're all about skill. They're tremendously skilled. You can't skill your way through this league. You have to battle. You have to be able to play away from the puck. You have to do all of those things. They will be able to do it. It'll just take a little bit of time, and that's why it's going to take some time for the Leafs. And look at the Oilers. They're now maybe taking that next step. Yes, Connor McDavid is an elite player, and his play away from the puck is elite, but guys like Nugent Hopkins and Jordan Eberle, they've come along, they've learned, they've gone through the hardships. Now they have a goaltender, all these things, and they're starting to take that next step. It's taken them a while. Toronto it's going to take a little time, but when they're a relevant market, and I can see a future for the Leafs that in 2 to 3 years they're going to be a really good team, then you know what? That market's going to be relevant, and it's just going to be better for the National Hockey League when it is.
Only thing brings more joy to me than Capitals' victories are Flyers' losses. And looks like the Flyers might lose a lot this year. I don't know. But, some thoughts about where they are as a franchise and some sort of transition between not so good and trying to get to mediocre.
Yeah, they're an interesting team. Like, they made the playoffs last year, which surprised a lot of people. That made a lot of people pick them to make the playoffs again this year. I didn't pick them to make the playoffs.
Well, you're a good man, Dan Rosen. That's why I like you. That's why you're on the show.
I thought they overachieved. I thought Michael Neuvirth got really hot at the end. They got some hot goaltending, and they overachieved. And Gostisbehere was an unknown commodity, and he came in and just lit it up for that team. Well, now a lot of people know about Gostisbehere, so they know how to play him. It's up to him now to adjust. They got Konechny and Provorov, who they're working into their lineup, rookies, teenagers trying to get in there. That takes a little bit of time. Their depth up front is okay. I don't think it's great. I do like Giroux, obviously. I like Voracek, Simmons, Couturier. Braden Shen needs to have a breakout year for
All
me.
these names make me break out, by the way. You bring up these guys, especially Giroux.
But the thing is about this team, like, I still don't like their goaltending. I really still don't like their goaltending. And what's Dave Haxtell going to be in year 2? So last year, nobody really knew Dave Haxtell. He was a guy as a college coach, came in from North Dakota, and it was sort of different. Nobody really had an understanding of what this guy was all about, and maybe that was the element of surprise from Ron Hextall. Well, now everybody knows what the Flyers are about. They know what he's about. So again, just like with Gostisbehere, he's going to have to make the adjustments too. It could, they're going to be right. I see them as a bubble team. I see them right on the bubble. They could be bubble in, they could be bubble out, but they're going to be right there.
Who's the best team, and who did you pick to go to the Cup? I mean, I look around, and I'm very realistic about the kind of talent the Capitals have, and it's easy for me to say, well, they look at all the games they won last year. They caught some bad breaks and didn't play so well in the spring, and that's the way it always goes because I'm a Caps fan. But they come back, and they are still the most talented team. But I look at the Rangers, I look at the Lightning, I look at the Penguins. I see what's happening out west, although I don't see as much of that. And I see that, the Capitals are still in that argument, but, nobody feels good about them in the spring, right?
Yeah, well, they haven't done it. I mean, how
Fair enough.
How could you feel good about them? They've not been past the second round of the playoffs since they've had Alex Ovechkin. I mean, at some point, you got to break through, for people to feel good about you. So yeah, their regular. The other thing with Washington, their regular season right now, everybody just expects them to be in the playoffs. Their regular season right now, on an outside perspective, certainly not inside, but outside perspective, is sort of meaningless. Like, get to the playoffs and let's see what you can do. Because what they do in another President's Trophy, so what? First place, another division title. You can throw another banner up in Verizon Center to win a division title. So what? What are you doing? What are you going to do for me in the spring? What are you going to do for me in the playoffs? Because if you can't win there, it doesn't really, it matters. I get it, business-wise and all that, and for statistics and everything like that, that matters. But you got to win in the spring. I don't even mean they got to win the Stanley Cup. They got to get past the second round.
Are they the best team, though, in your mind? Are they the Cavaliers or the Warriors? I mean, in the end, do you expect them to be the 1 seed?
I don't think they're the best team.
Fair enough.
Not right now. In the Eastern Conference, I would put Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay over them right now. And if Carey Price can stay healthy, I'm not putting Montreal ahead of Washington, but if Carey Price stays healthy throughout the whole year, he's the great equalizer, and they could be on par with Washington. So it's those 4 for me, 3 and Montreal being sort of like can they be the 4th? And then you have, you bring in the Rangers thereafter from that point on. But certainly Washington's right there, but I still, at this stage, I would put Pittsburgh with a healthy Sidney Crosby and Tampa Bay when everyone's healthy over Washington, slightly over them. I had the Chicago Blackhawks winning the Stanley Cup, right? And it's not because I think they're the best team in the NHL right now. I think it's because they can be the best team once they get to the playoffs, and that's a big difference.
Well, they certainly are battle-tested. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Dan Rosen doing all things NHL at NHL.com. He does a little New York Giants as well as the Mets as well. He's at D Rosen NHL. Nice little World Series we got cooked up here, right, for us baseball fans. I mean, if you can't be on the inside and you got to be on the outside, why not try to watch this thing unfold for 7 days, right?
I mean, that's the beauty of just doing hockey, right? I get to watch it and just enjoy it, as opposed to having to analyze it and think about what it all means. I just can watch this World Series when I get an opportunity to. Now, remind you, I do watch a lot of hockey, so I don't know how much the World Series I'll be watching, but I get to watch it and enjoy it. And, look, to me it doesn't matter who wins, but I got a couple of friends who are big Cubs fans, so I'm kind of pulling for them. They sort of deserve it,
I'm pulling for the Tribe for a lot of reasons. And, it would be much more fun for me to root for the Tribe if the Cavaliers never won. Because I saw that parade, and it was a hell of a parade. I'm not going to lie. I've been to Cleveland a lot, more than I should admit to being in Cleveland. And it was a hell of a parade. I don't know if they could replicate that, and it would be kind of interesting to see them after a lifetime of nothingness to win twice. But, I'm happy. I was happy for the Blackhawks fans after all their suffering. I'm an Orioles fan, for crying out, Rose. And it's just never going to happen here,
Well, you know what people forget about Cleveland? It wasn't the Cavs that started this whole thing off. It was the AHL team.
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's correct.
This off. They are now known as the Cleveland Monsters. At the time, they were the Lake Erie Monsters, and their coach, Jared Bednar, is now coaching the Colorado Avalanche. They won. Then the Cavs won, and now the Indians might win.
Well, maybe they'll raise the banner all at the same time before we get it all over. By the way, great job you guys are doing with Hockey Fights Cancer. My wife's a 2-time leukemia survivor, as we say around here, puck leukemia. And, I know the Caps do a lot of stuff. It gets to my timeline, and I see it, and I feel it as much as, as much as the pink stuff in the NFL this month. It's a great thing hockey's doing.
No, it is fantastic. It's nice to hear that it means something to you.
Well, it does to anybody who has a bat.
Yeah, unfortunate. I mean, in an unfortunate way, obviously, nobody wants it to have any special meaning to them, but it does. It hits somebody. It hits all of us in some way, shape, or form. Some more personal than others, and it's great. And the proceeds, all the stuff from all the jerseys that the guys are wearing in warm-ups and the nights that they do. It's really just it's heartwarming. It's touching. And it means something too. We had Emily Benjamin, who's a writer for us, based out of Boston. She did a story on Jimmy Hayes for the Bruins Hockey Fights Cancer Night, getting a lavender suit created, like tailored and made a lavender suit that he would wear to the game. I assume to be auctioned off. The reason, Jimmy Hayes' mother and father are both cancer survivors, so it hits him. So it hits everybody in some way, shape, or form, and the hockey players in general, honestly, they really love it. They love to be a part of it. I was doing an interview with a player from the Arizona Coyotes, 18-year-old Jacob Chikrin. He put on the hat, and he goes, they have their lavender Coyotes hat to represent Hockey Fights Cancer. He put it on for the interview, and he was just like, no, because I was doing a little on camera. Put it on. He said, no, this is the right look. This is what we need. We got to promote this. So,
well, I talked to Peter Robinson, who does community relations for the Caps, a wonderful guy, Terps guy, too. He was telling me about the John Druce story that I wasn't. First off, I know or knew John Druce. I was the beat writer back in the 80s when he was a Skipjacks guy, just trying to get up with the Caps. He had that incredible week against the Rangers. I mean, we're going back 30 years now. That's in the Wayback Machine for me. I didn't know that his daughter had this incredibly inspiring battle. So, we learn about these battles. My wife's story is, well played in my community, and her donor is coming in a couple of weeks who saved her life from Germany. And I mean, there's all these tentacles in these stories, and Trotz is very involved in my story here.
Yep.
But, these stories get out, and they need to be told, and it's nice that the league is taking a front side of that. And I think all the sports are trying to do that. I mean, I know baseball does stuff around the All-Star break as well with, Stand Up for Cancer, and it's just good stuff. I think it's cool.
It's great stuff. And the best part about it is they're not, the league is promoting Hockey Fights Cancer to promote, to raise money, to help the cause. But a lot of these guys, it's not just this month that they help. And nobody really knows, it doesn't always get promoted because they're not doing it for the promotion. They're doing it because it's the right thing to do. And, a lot of hockey players have their own causes, and some with cancer, some with other, illnesses, whatever it may be. But they don't all get promoted and publicized, but they don't all ask for the publicity either. They just do it out of the goodness of their own heart.
Hey, man, great having you on as always. I'm here to pimp the puck anytime, any place. I mean, it's bye week. If I'm not talking a little hockey with you right now, I mean, what the hell would I be talking about? The Saints or something. So let's, keep the faith out there. Watch the baseball. We'll pimp the puck. We'll check in with you again soon, Dan. Great having you on, man.
All right, man. Anytime.
You got it. Dan Rosen from NHL.com. D Rosen NHL out on Twitter. And you can check his work out there as well. Caps, decent start. We'll see how it goes. Always fun to go to see the Caps play down at the Verizon Center. I was there on Saturday night. I'll be up late with them a little bit, maybe after some of these World Series games. We got some hockey this week out on the left coast. You can find me out in the Bayou Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere the NHL or the AHL or baseball or any other sport is served. The morning newspaper ships to your email inbox at 7 a.m. That is brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. Still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life there. Breaking news happens anytime, and when it does, and at some point the Orioles will hire a pitching coach, the Ravens with all these injuries and who's in and who's out, that comes to you first on the text service. That's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Never spam. Always the good stuff. Dennis will be here on Thursday, serving you sports radio from 3 until 5 and some conversations as we head into the weekend. I'm Nestor. This is WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.